Embrace the Globe 21.
Yes, we are.
I'm Spencer,
And I'm Daniel.
and we are checking out why Starbucks failed in Australia.
How I'm salute to you guys.
That's like taking down a giant.
That's
Starbucks is an American giant. How do you defeat them in Australia?
I need to know what you guys did because that chain just takes over. Where
Yeah.
you see one, there's three more being built.
In America, that they're basically everywhere. They're like
Yes.
almost as abundant as McDonald's. They may be more abundant than McDonald's or Subway.
Oh, Subway's been like on the
Yeah,
decline.
they've been on a decline.
But definitely McDonald's. They're like the new herpes that America has. Well,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, there's literally everywhere. There's one on the corner, and then there's one in Target now. And if there's not one in Target, there's one at the Safeway, which is the grocery store here. So it's like there's Starbucks everywhere.
Right, and there's McDonald's is in Walmart, and but anyway, and even they're coming after Starbucks with their cosmic thing that they just opened up in Chicago. So
Interesting.
that's for another time. We're focused on Australia and Starbucks. Are you ready?
Yeah, man, I'm here for it.
3, 2, 1.
Starbucks has coffee shops all over the world. There are more than 28,000 locations in 76 markets, from Shanghai to Guantanamo Bay. And in China, a new Starbucks location opens up every 15 hours.
Oh my God.
But there is one continent that seems uninterested in the hype over the Seattle-based coffee chain. And that continent is Australia. It's proven to be one of the toughest markets in the world to break into. So tough, in fact, that Starbucks closed more than 2/3 of its stores on the continent back in 2008. So what went so wrong with Starbucks in Australia? To answer that, let's go back to July of 2000, when Starbucks opened its first Australian shop in Sydney. From there, it expanded fast. By 2008, Starbucks had 87 stores across the continent.
I think one of the problems for Starbucks, and it's true for a lot of businesses that have been successful in one country, is that they thought that their business model could just roll out to a different environment and there was no need for them to adjust.
But that was the problem. It tried to grow the empire too fast. Starbucks rapidly opened up multiple locations instead of slowly integrating them into the Australian market.
When they launched too rapidly and didn't give the Australian consumer an opportunity to really develop an appetite for the Starbucks brand. They also moved into regional areas, into outer suburbs of major cities. And so for the Australian consumer, it was almost like it was too available for them. And so
Okay. So it's like I think back to Nando's when they opened up a few test locations in the U.S. and they're still not everywhere in the U.S. There's a lot in the Washington D.C. area. There's New York, but it's a staple of the U.K. and it's becoming more prominent in the U.S. as well. So there you go. They rolled out too quickly.
Yep. It makes sense. It's like a freaking invasion.
Yeah. Like when we just checked out the why Walmart failed in Germany video, and they did the same thing. They bought up all these stores, and they came about too quickly and didn't adjust to the culture as well. I guess they haven't discussed that part yet, but he just alluded to that.
Well, that makes sense. They have a business model that works 98% of the time. And I
Yeah.
guess, they just were taking it for granted and they're like, you know what, this will work. It works everywhere. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't it work?
Mm-hmm.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Point.
Yeah.
But still, well done, Australia.
Yeah.
there wasn't this point of difference, this want, this need for Starbucks, and it wasn't an organic growth, which is what we very much saw in the US.
In its first 7 years in Australia, Starbucks accumulated $105 million in losses.
Oh my God.
By 2007, Starbucks Australia was hanging on by a thread, taking big loans from the US, totaling up to $54 million. And in 2008, Starbucks announced it was shutting down 61 stores.
Wow.
But of course, 2008 was a difficult time for businesses due to the financial crisis. Along with the Australia closures, Starbucks also closed 600 underperforming American stores. But even still, such a retreat in Australia was embarrassing for the brand.
When you're shutting down 75 stores, for the Australian consumer, when they did leave the market, or at least a large number of their stores were shut down, they didn't really care.
It's partly because Australians are spoiled for choice when it comes to coffee. Australia's coffee market is one of the biggest in the world. The industry is expected to hit more than $6 billion in total revenue in 2018. They've been immersed in nuances of cafe culture since the mid-1900s, when Italian and Greek immigrants began traveling to the country. The immigrants introduced Australians to espresso. By the 1980s, Australians were fully engulfed in cafe culture. They've also grown accustomed to specialty menu items, like a flat white or an Australian macchiato.
So cafes in Australia were born out of like the Italian culture of, meeting a friend and knowing your local barista, and it being kind of like a local meeting place where everyone knew each other, and that coffee was just a part of that. And then Starbucks came in with what is more of an American style like coffee culture, which is essentially just like coffee is a product, coffee is a commodity, coffee is like to perk me up in the morning. It's caffeination.
Starbucks had a basic menu.
Oh, wow. That's another revelation right there, is that Australia already has a coffee culture from the Italians that immigrated in the early 1900s.
So they tried to go there to reinvent the fucking wheel.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, there's a bit of, in the more hipster areas of America, a coffee culture of your local barista
Yeah.
and, meeting a friend up there. And, there's more effort put into local, coffee and
Yeah.
things like that. So, yeah, they're the complete opposite of Starbucks.
Yeah. And that's it. Like, Starbucks is a fix. Go there, get your fix, move on.
Yeah.
It's not a welcoming environment. I'm sorry. It's like Starbucks is like assembly line caffeination.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like get
That's
there,
it.
get the fuck out.
Yeah. It's almost like I prefer like Dunkin'. Like, yes, it's get your coffee, get out, but it's not trying to be a place of, community or whatever.
Yeah. It's like you
you-
know exactly what you get when you
Yeah.
go to Dunkin' Donuts. It's like, yeah, I'm not here for long. Let's just
Yeah.
keep it moving.
And if you do stay in a Starbucks, usually you have like a big laptop with you and you're doing work. You're not talking to
No.
other people. That's not how that works.
No.
Or if it is, then it's very rare.
Yeah, then you're the odd one.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah,
talking to
exactly.
someone in Starbucks.
Yeah.
Starbucks had a basic menu and offered more sugary drinks, which most Australians didn't like.
In Australia, where local tastes are different, so we don't really want a coffee that's hundreds of ounces with lots of sugar in it. We want something a bit more sophisticated.
Plus, Starbucks charged more than local cafes. So Australians instead opted to pay less for coffee they liked from a local barista they trusted.
And so when you come in with this big like, hey, we're going to open all these cafes and they're all going to be to-go focused, it just was the complete wrong market for what the Australian was used to.
But there's one
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, most of those mixed drinks, they're basically coffee milkshakes.
Yeah.
They're not coffee. And a lot of that's another WTF America thing, is we would consider that, hey, you want to go for a coffee? And then I brought you coffee. Here's a coffee milkshake here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not coffee. I'm interested in this next point. I bet you it's McDonald's coffee.
Yeah, or Dunkin' or Burger King, which is Hungry Jack's.
Oh no, I was looking at the screen. I'm like, I
Oh.
bet you it's the McDonald's coffee because hey, they're running the table on that shit.
Yeah, McCafe here.
Oh man, they are. They are running the
Let's
table
see.
on that shit, man.
Let's see.
American coffee company that's thriving in Australia. Founded in Chicago and now based in Australia, Gloria Jeans got the traction in Australia that Starbucks couldn't.
Gloria Jeans.
Gloria Jeans? Whoa.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah,
ever.
never heard of that. What
But
the-
already the place looks like a family place.
yeah, it looks more homey. Looks
It
more
looks inviting.
community.
Not like dark mahogany and like it's warm. It's not cold industrial like
Mhm.
Starbucks.
Right.
Gloria Jeans has more than 400 Australian locations, and serves more than 35 million consumers in Australia each year. So what is Gloria Jeans doing in Australia that Starbucks isn't? Well, the company attributes its success to two Australians who franchised the business in their home country. Shops started to show up in Australia in 1996. Fast forward to today, the company has a presence in every Australian state. The reason? Its menu. The chain offers a wide variety of espresso drinks and specialty coffee. Failing to adapt its menu to Australians' coffee culture proved to be a mistake for Starbucks. And the company faces another challenge later this year: Italy. Starbucks is opening its first store in Milan in late 2018. Home of the espresso, Italy is rich in cafe culture. But according to Starbucks, it's not going to make the same mistakes that it did in Australia. The company said that it would develop in Italy with humility and respect for its coffee culture. It announced it would be opening a roastery, which is not your average cafe. It gives customers a chance to see coffee beans roasted and processed before their eyes. So there's a chance that it won't struggle like it did in Australia. But Starbucks isn't admitting defeat in Australia either. Starbucks is staging a comeback on the continent. In 2014, Starbucks locations in Australia were purchased by the Mount Waverley-based Withers Group. Starbucks told CNBC that since its sale to the Withers Group, the company learned a lot. So this time, it's taken a different approach to putting Starbucks on the continent.
So if you just think about Australia as a big tourism destination, there's a lot of US and Chinese tourists. Starbucks have been very successful in China, and it makes a lot of sense for them to build out because there are people looking for something that's familiar to them.
Now with 39 locations in Brisbane, Melbourne, the Gold Coast, and Sydney areas, this time it's not looking to appeal to Australians. But instead, the coffee giant hopes to be a familiar face for tourists visiting popular vacation destinations in Australia.
Australia's always been a high volume tourist market. The same thing in terms of international students at our universities, potential opportunities for them. And we're starting to see Starbucks enter into some large shopping malls here in Australia as well.
Australia welcomed 9 million tourists from 2017 to 2018, and those international visitors spent more than $30 billion in 2017 alone. So tourists could possibly be the key to keeping the company afloat and preventing another downfall.
Wow. That's
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah,
That's a
interesting.
unique way to establish yourself. We're not here for you. We're here for all of us
for the
traveling abroad.
American and Chinese tourists that love Starbucks.
See, that is a genius approach. So I guess you have your Starbucks near the airports, near the high touristy places. That's where you have your Starbucks. Genius idea. Genius idea.
But me personally, I'm not trying to get something that I can get in the States. Luckily, I guess on my food channel, I'm probably gonna do like only eating McDonald's items from Australia, unique to that. But that would be interesting. But I want to get a taste of the local coffee places.
That's the sane response. But there's always a Karen out there that needs to have a taste of get her hit of caramel macchiato something.
Double shot, extra foam with chocolate sauce and cat hair.
Like that. She needs that. And unfortunately, we mass produce them and we send them global.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that prop up Starbuckses. So
sorry, guys.
That's interesting. So they went in like a wrecking ball and they got a big piece of humble pie.
That's the American way, is to come in a wrecking ball, eat, and then eat humble pie. But also the thing about, they're gonna open one in Italy. This is 2018. This is an old video, but it's good to get the conversation going. I wonder how that's going for Starbucks being in Italy, a coffee culture place.
Why? If not, it has to be like a coffee boutique. It can't be, if you open a Starbucks in Italy, it can't look or feel or smell like a freaking Starbucks in the States. It won't work.
No,
it's got to be catered.
Yeah.
It's got to be a completely different. The only thing that should look the same is the logo. That's it.
Right. And I've seen if you opened a Domino's in Italy. What are you doing? That is pizza land right there.
You don't do that. So that's interesting. But it's you know what though? It's unique to know, or it's very interesting to know that they have their own built-in coffee culture. Who would have known? I didn't know that.
We know that now.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Good to know it'll be caffeinated.
Heck yeah, man.
In Australia.
I'm there for it, man.
Anyway, y'all, thanks for watching. Put down in the comments more Australian stuff to check out. We're gonna keep our Australian and German videos Monday through Friday, and pretty much Saturday and Sunday is experiment time. So we're here for it.
Yep, always.
Consider subscribing and watching another video. And what else,
Yes,
Dan?
yes. Unplug and go get your cup of coffee.
Exactly. See you in the next one.
Later.